grown up, downsized, and voters. And I was like, wow, okay, well, yeah, there's a little, there's a group that's forming out there that's for real. And then you saw the crackdown on the tax thing, right?
Yeah.
The people that live in the Broderick Towers and some of these other apartments where they're forcing the owners of the building to give up the names and the information of the people who live there so that they can force them to pay taxes. Well, that will also force them to register to vote as well. So we might be surprised at the numbers of new voters, committed voters, older voters, adults who will show up in the election this year. Is it going to be enough?
Well, whatever it is, I hope Janice Winfrey is capable of counting the votes in an accurate manner and releasing the tallies in a timely manner. I don't think she's in that bigger trouble she should be, quite frankly. I believe that the incumbent Winfrey has a tremendous advantage over Deetta Wilcoxon and Hester Wheeler and Mr. Gilchrist also. I mean, there's some competent people out there that are running. Miss Johnson also. There's a list of them. I heard them.
So what happens after the primary? What happens after the primary if Janice Winfrey is teamed up with Hester Wheeler, if she's teamed up with Wilcoxon or with Gilchrist? It doesn't matter who the opponent is? Are you saying that?
Well, I think that if she's teamed up against anyone but Hester, that she's a cinch to win. And the people that are running against her may not like that. But I believe that Hester is capable of pulling together that NAACP crowd that does vote. And he's also capable of pulling together like the firefighters and others. He can build a type of coalition. And he also has a base in the liberal white community out here. Hester is the person she doesn't want to run against in the general election.
Opponent?
No question about it. No question about it.
Wayne, talk to us on the Mildred Gaddis Show this Friday.
Yes, good morning. I was listening to the show. And my comment is, I heard as far as Mike Duggan mentioning racism or systemic racism and whether it would be accepted. It's true enough, the black mayors that have been in the city, yes, they mentioned it, and it's not that it wasn't valid, but coming from someone who is white, like them, maybe their ears aren't turned off and they actually listen and give it the fact that it is valid because it's not just coming from a black mayor, and I don't see where anything but positive can come from that, because the same issues we've been talking about for 40 plus years, insurance, redlining.
Don't you start that. Don't you start that, because Mike Duggan is the guy who wanted Detroiters to embrace a discriminatory form of insurance so that they'd be treated differently than anybody else in the state of Michigan.
But they completely devalued black life.
No, you can't. No, there can be no but.
But it doesn't have to be.
There cannot be a but. You cannot stand up in one moment and say black folk ought to be treated differently and they ought to embrace that discrimination.
And worse yet, we need a white savior. We don't need a damn white savior.
And we've got Wayne. I tell you what, Wayne,